Okay, I can't look at you when I do this because you fucking put me off.
Can you imagine if we went to school together in class, right?
No way. No way. All right.
Suspended every day.
Welcome. This is the AudioBoi Podcast, episode 3. I'm Mitta. This is Mitch.
Hey.
We'd like to say thank you to Musos Corner and also Tommirock Studios, as they are our constant sponsors and we love them very much.
Cheers, guys.
Yeah.
Hectic.
What's up, man?
Happy birthday.
Oh, yes, dude. Yeah, it's my birthday. I'm 37.
37.
Yeah, I
How's
still
it
get
feel?
carded all the time. I got carded the other day.
Did you?
Yeah, it happens all the time. It's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Black don't crack.
Yeah. yeah. Anyway, I'm feeling good.
Hectic. Cool.
How you feeling?
Good, man.
Yeah,
Good.
Everything's normal. I got a real super cute message from Mitch's kids this morning, and it was.
They love
Man,
Uncle Mitta.
I always save every video you send me.
Oh, yeah?
Always.
Uncle Mitta.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to you.
Yeah, dude, that's
Charlie, mate.
so sick. What a legend she is.
So good.
I love that girl. And
Yeah,
then
Bodhi.
Bodhi's just
You froze. It's like me doing the intro. I'm like,
Live to show you stomach. Is that what you wanted?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck, that was so good, man.
dude, killer. Yeah.
Oh, what do you got?
So
What do you
good.
want to start with today?
What do we got notes
There's so much to talk about.
So much. There's
Yeah.
been crazy stuff
There's
happening.
a couple of big topics that I want to talk about, like big brands doing significant things that we need to talk about.
I didn't even put the
what?
the stuff I did my videos on, but we'll get to that.
No, that's in my list for sure.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I want to talk about that stuff.
Hectic.
But yeah, what do you got to start with?
We can start on that. It's a pretty big one.
It's a big one. Let's go for it. So,
all right.
Yeah, you go for it.
So, if anyone's caught my channel, the last couple of videos I did were on Behringer.
Yes.
And they released 73 500 series clone.
Yep.
And then 2 days later dropped the 6176 channel strip.
Yep.
And obviously they're two huge things. One, they're dropping another Neve clone, but
Yes.
for 500 series.
Yep.
And then taking on UAD or Universal Audio, not the digital side.
Yeah, right. So that's
Yeah.
what this is here?
These two.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
this
yeah.
is like the Behringer stuff. Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Right. So now they're copying the UA stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, they don't give up about
Yeah.
making it look exactly the same, do
No,
they?
the Behringer thing, like that 500 series Neve is exactly the 1073 LB.
Yeah.
To a T, like
What-
even the fact that
Oh, you mean visually? Or?
visually,
Yeah.
and then even to the fact that the way you activate phantom power,
is the same as
you push in the trim button. There's a switch in the
Right,
trim
right,
button.
which is what that's how
That's
they
how
do it.
that's how the LB works. Yeah,
Right,
the
right.
real thing. So they've copied it exactly, and then obviously because it's Behringer, there's going to be things that are not exactly the same
Yeah.
once you look at the topology,
Yeah.
which I nerded out with on my channel.
Yes.
We don't have to get into it that far, but the takeaways that people should be familiar with, should be thinking about,
Yeah.
is that on the Neve in particular, they've developed their own input and output transformer, and people are going to slam that
What
and go.
they're like Behringer.
Behringer have done
Right.
their own version of a Carnhill input
Okay, so it's
and output
It's a
transformer.
Midas transformer
Yeah,
that's designed to be similar to Carnhill.
the Carnhill ones.
Right.
So what everyone kind of missed a lot in conversation, I think, was the fact that this signals that they're going to do more.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, they're not
Right.
looking for an off-the-shelf generic thing.
Yeah.
They're making their own.
Yeah.
So if they've developed their own line stage
Mm-hmm.
amplification, right, input and output, that means they can do other stuff.
Yeah.
So things that use the Neve style input and output transformers are also Chandler,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah, right. And
So-
not many people have been able to successfully copy Chandler.
No, it's a similar circuit. So the Chandler preamp is the TG ones and stuff.
Yep.
They're basically the same
Yep.
as a Neve. They're very, very, very similar.
Right.
Very similar.
So
So that means they can go into that.
Yeah.
That means they can go into other styles of those British kind of bits of gear that no one's cloning.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you
EMI
feel
stuff.
as someone like who's come from the DIY world? How do you feel about companies that copy it to a T? Like they don't change anything at all. What do you think of that?
Look, it's that thing where do you need to copy the faults of the circuit? Because they put the off stages, and I talked about that in my channel as well.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's crazy. Don't copy that shit. Don't copy the bad stuff.
Yeah. It's
Just
like
copy the good
Waves when
things.
they put the 50 hertz hum in their plugin. Man.
I need the noise.
Oh my god!
I need
if
the
there's
analog
anyone
noise.
out there that actually turns that shit on and uses it, please tell us, because I don't like every single person that first thing, turn that shit off.
Yeah.
Right?
They used to be on by default, and now they're off.
Yeah. So if you don't know what we're talking about, Waves have it's not in all of their plugins. Hey.
It's in their older ones.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what's the 50? Is it the 50 hertz? Is it 50 hertz?
50 and 60.
Yeah.
Yeah,
50.
because some if you're in America, you need the 60 hertz, but if you're in Australia,
And
you
can
need the 50
and
hertz.
You know,
otherwise it doesn't sound right.
What are they? What is it like?
It's noise. It's hum.
Yeah,
it's
so-
noise and hum
but
that you
like-
get in a device.
So it's from like old units that had this
All
hum.
hardware,
Yeah.
all hardware will have noise.
Yeah.
Right. That's
Yeah.
it's. We're talking about noise floor
Yeah.
of a device.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so they added that back in. And if anyone's used the plugin and then
Fucking
wondered
hell,
why at the end of their
dude.
mix there was all this hiss, and then you had to go through and turn in all the analog noise off.
Is there
psycho.
Is there photos of it? I remember when I first
Yeah, the all the classics, all the
Like the
CLAs,
1176,
the
like-
CLAs have it. Yeah.
so there it is there, the analog 50 hertz analog
Just look up CLA LA2A. You'll
Yeah,
see it.
okay.
Yeah, it'll be there.
CLA LA2A. Yeah, they put this fucker they
Yeah.
put the
There it
yeah,
is there,
that
analog.
that there.
Yeah, and
it's
it doesn't make it sound more analog.
it just adds noise.
the
hey?
noise
It
from
just,
the
it's
analog
like a
device. The noise
it's
floor.
insane that they would do that. I
Yeah.
like someone has to use it, right? Like that.
Obviously, I remember watching tutorials on how to use these Waves plugins
Yeah.
by people that were working with Waves at the time.
Yeah.
Sorry, Waves, but we're going to and they were saying there were people that helped them develop them.
Yeah.
And they felt that part of their sound
Yeah.
was that noise floor, and they wanted it in there. So it was the people, I'll tell you now, you never want it. It's stupid. It's the bad part of analog. We love analog here.
Yeah,
we love
yeah,
it.
yeah.
We love analog.
Yeah.
But one of the bad parts about analog is noise floor.
Have you
It's shit.
seen?
You don't want
Have
it.
you seen that? You know that Animod unit that I've got in there.
Yeah.
So the Animod, Animod tape. Yeah. So this thing, ATS1. I have this in my room and I love it.
Yep.
It's got a hiss knob on it, so you can input tape
Tape hiss.
hiss, and it quite literally like zero is obviously off, and all the way on is just it's loud as, and I just like. Like who?
Yeah.
I even said to Lachlan, I'm like, what crazy person is
Yeah.
spending? I think these
Lo-fi.
units are like $8,000 or some obscene amount of money.
Yeah.
Then to go put the hiss on it.
Yeah.
Like,
There's like obviously some rare cases where you're going to get creative and maybe
Yeah.
want it. Some very rare.
yeah, if you're
very
like
rare.
making like a sample or doing
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
I just.
Maybe you want to make like genuine vinyl samples.
But surely, like,
things,
there's
but
a-
that's going to be so rare.
But like, surely you just get a plug in and just turn on the. Like
You just get your Waves plug-in.
Oh, shit. Fuck. Anyway, yeah, that's
Hectic.
outrageous. How did we get here?
From
That's
Behringer.
right. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Behringer
We-
copy. Because I look
Yep.
at this and part of me thinks, yep, cool. It's like exactly the same as the real thing.
The LB, yeah.
Which I don't know. Like, is it there to trick people so that they go, oh, this is the same. It's going to sound the same. Or is it just a tip of the cap to the original design, and we don't need to change it because
Look, for Behringer, I think it's very much the first thing.
Yeah,
that
I
is-
think so
Yeah,
too.
like it's
Yep.
it's about making it look the part so
Yep.
people and also so that people put it in their studio and they feel like they've got the real thing.
man, how much
Yeah.
of this shit is like that psychological effect of like, oh, it looks right.
Yeah.
it is right. You know?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And then so the 6176 clone they did, that's obviously massive as well.
Yep.
In that they're taking on not just Warm Audio or other clone companies, they're taking on genuine
Yes.
manufacturers. They're
Yeah.
showing that now, like by cloning an actual Neve AMS design.
Yeah.
And then the 6176 as well. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, we're here to get everyone.
It's funny though, because
Yeah.
like this is objectively ugly. Like it's,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not
yeah, yeah.
it's not a good looking unit. Like I know that's the way that they originally came, and like that's cool. But it's funny.
Prime colours, bro.
Yeah, it's
All you
just
need
the-
is some yellow on the knobs and then we're
what's this
we're
like?
there.
It's like green, blue on dark red. Ugh.
Yeah.
and this big ugly knob on it. But yeah,
The
it's
Marconi knob's a classic though.
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
part
yeah.
of the class. You have to have those on
Yeah,
an Eve.
yeah,
otherwise,
that's true.
otherwise it's like you gotta have the badge, man.
Yeah,
You know?
man. This brought up like when all these things was coming out, because I didn't know that Behringer were doing all this stuff. What's another like? So the Behringer, what was the UAD one?
The 6176.
Yeah, 6.1. What is it? A 6? What do they call it?
676, I think.
676?
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that they were doing all these like crazy.
This is all new. Like
I
this
know.
is-
I know.
yeah.
They're
Yeah.
brand new.
Yeah.
There was no like talk of it online or anything before they came out. It was just like bang, here it is.
Yep.
And yeah, they look exactly the same, and that triggers me. Like
Yep.
the fact that they look exactly the same. There's a part of my brain that goes, nah, fuck this.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
because I feel like they're trying to trick people.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
Like
That's fair.
this is just my opinion, and this is not even actually. I wouldn't say that this is my opinion. This is my straight off the cuff reaction to
Yeah.
seeing something like this, where I'm like, it's like when you go to Aldi and they have, you know what I mean, and they have the
cheap
the
mics
Aldi
and
brand one,
guitars or
but
whatever.
no, not even
Or-
that. But like it's like okay, so they've got
Cocoa
Aldi,
Pops.
yeah,
Yeah.
Aldi Cocoa Pops, and it's like
Yeah.
the monkey's like maybe he's the same, but he's got
Yeah.
glasses on.
But then you give it to your kids and they cry because it's not the real thing.
yeah,
It's like imagine your kid asks you for a 6176 for Christmas and you give them the Behringer.
yeah, they pull it up. It's
Yeah.
like,
So many good memes.
yeah. But like, yeah, so that's just my knee jerk reaction.
Yeah.
Part of it is also like, well, if you're doing a clone it, you know? Like, why not? Why not clone it exactly like they have done?
Well, then that's where we get into like the circuit topology and stuff. So, like, obviously, there are certain components that you're going to be able to clone and keep it affordable.
Yep.
Or like going to be able to put in there like genuine
Yep.
things, and then you're going to have to cut corners to get the cost down.
Yep.
That 6176.
Yeah.
They're selling it for like $620.
And
Yeah.
you get EQ and compression. Yeah.
So preamp, tube preamp,
Yeah.
the EQ.
Is it a real tube preamp?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah. And looks the part. That's got their
Yeah.
transformers in it.
Yeah.
And looks the part. And like, look, everyone's going to have their criticisms, right? They're going to say the components aren't legit because they're not the same transformers. They're
Yeah.
not the same this. They're not the same that. We don't have to get into that.
Yeah.
But all you need to know is that if they're making good transformers, which they might be, that's going to go a long way. It's the whole unit together that completes the circuit and completes the sound. So when you cheap out on certain parts, it can be critical,
Yeah.
but then sometimes it's not. And so they can get lucky sometimes. And everyone knows, we've talked about it already, the 369, the compressor that I got,
Yeah.
is good. It's
Yep.
good.
Yep.
Like, and you can see videos on my channel as well. It's
Also-
good. It sounds sick. And if they get close with this stuff, how close does it need to
But
be?
also, like at this price point, you're not going to get close. Like it's not going to be the same thing.
The 500 series Neve
Yeah.
is $250.
Yeah, I know. That's outrageous.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
Like, it's worth trying.
That's the other thing is like, yeah, you got to keep your expectations in check. Like if you're spending $250 on something,
Yeah. Maybe it's not going to sound like
you kind of take
yeah.
what you can get, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
There's. I mean, you're lucky that they've even tried to get it close for that price
Yeah.
Because what's an actual Neve 1073 worth?
Here,
Yeah,
we looked them up yesterday.
How much
Oh,
are
we're
they?
looking at APIs as well.
How
I
much
think
are they?
12 to 1500.
1073 LB.
LB. Yeah.
Yeah, so it looks like roughly $1,800.
Yeah.
1700.
Fuck. Yeah. So here, that would sell for, the Behringer would sell probably for like 4 to 5.
Yeah.
I would say. Yeah.
Okay.
Because there's always a massive markup. Thanks,
Right.
Australia.
Yeah, fucking
Yeah.
Ireland.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So do you have any idea what's coming? Like, do you know
No idea.
Can you predict?
So this is what I would say, right?
Yeah.
So this is something I'm going to talk about in future videos as well.
Yeah.
But I would predict that they're going to go for the things that no one's cloning yet,
You
right?
reckon?
There's some key ones that people clone that are always going to be successful, like a 73,
1176.
1176.
Yeah.
They've already got those, right?
Do they?
Yeah, because they've got the KT versions.
So,
but I think they're going to redo them.
Well, that's what I was going to say, because Behringer and KT are two different companies, aren't
Yeah,
they?
yeah,
right.
yeah,
And
yeah.
they're marketing as two different companies?
They're marketing all of this studio stuff is Behringer,
Yeah.
not Clark Technic.
Right.
So this is a new
competitors.
thing.
They are competitors on in the market.
Yeah.
You're right. Okay.
Yeah. But
'cause-
same company.
All right, so they're going to have to do an 1176, right?
100% they'll do an 1176 because they got the parts for it.
Yep.
But then I think they're going to go for these more sought after obscure things.
Like what?
They teased last year they were going to do a Fairchild.
Yeah,
on their
I knew
Instagram.
you were going to say something like that, and
That's a big one.
But does the Behringer market appeal to?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
But I think the main ones are like I said, the Chandler stuff,
Right?
Because no one does those,
Yeah,
right?
But then again, do project studio owners know about Chandler? I don't think they do.
But it's different colors,
Yeah.
And I think at this price point, giving people, I can have a Neve color, I
Yeah.
can have a Chandler color, I
Because
can have this.
to me, this is for
Yeah.
people who want to own Ferraris who can't own Ferraris.
Yeah, totally,
Right?
100%.
So, and you're talking about a Pagani Zonda, so which people don't know about. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
yeah.
I feel like
I
it's got
get
to
ya.
be like really mainstream items. So that's why I don't know if Chandler is going to make it into it.
I think
hope
they
it does.
are.
That'd be cool.
I think they are because of the circuit topologies they're putting in.
Right.
I think there's going to be more of just there will be pieces that people aren't doing that they will do.
Yep.
Like the 369.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I think
Okay.
there are gaps.
So I interrupted you. Keep
Yeah.
going on. What else do you think? Like, well,
They'll do the typicals. They'll
2A?
probably, I reckon they'll redo their 2A and their 1176. And then I think they'll go for what else? Heaps of people were asking. I want to see them do a distressor.
Dude, okay, so I
Yeah.
was going to say distressor.
Yeah.
Why has no one copied the distressor?
Okay, so this is a whole other
This is a
topic.
genuine question. I've never
Yep.
thought of this before.
Okay,
Like,
so I've worked on your distressors.
Yes, you
right?
have, yeah.
And the reason why no one's done a distressor is one, patents, because they're relatively new. They were made in the 90s.
Right.
So there was still a patent on them for
Yep.
a really long time. I don't know if that patent would be up by now because that's
Okay.
like 30 years.
Yep.
Patent law in America is weird.
Right.
So don't quote me on that. Someone
Yeah.
could comment in the comment section though and let me know.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's still under patent,
Right.
so they could be sued.
Yep.
The other thing is that it's a well-guarded secret what chips they use in the distressors.
do they
all
hide
ICs.
them? Do they hide them?
They scrub
they?
the names off all their ICs that are put in there,
Right.
so you can't clone them.
So,
yeah,
so no one actually knows what they are.
no one knows what they are.
Really?
It's secret. Yeah, it's secret
That's kind
tech.
of cool. I like it.
Yeah. And they've kept it well guarded. And look, you can reverse engineer that.
Yeah.
It can be
You're
done.
not a fan of gatekeeping, like designs, hey?
No, like I think that everyone has the right to patent and
Yep.
protect their copyright.
Yeah.
But then once they've made the profit,
Yeah.
it's supposed to go to the public domain. Patents are supposed to end
Yeah.
because then they can go to public domain and then it's for the good of the people.
Yeah.
That's how all patents are
Yeah.
supposed to work for all things. We
I
don't
like
need to
your
get-
communist
yeah.
approach. So, like,
Yeah,
in that
yeah,
respect,
yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah, fucking stinking lefties, eh? Yeah, bunch of lefties. Anyway, look, no, that is how the law's supposed to work.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to benefit everyone. And in technology, that's how it should be as well.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
And then what it then pushes the person who developed the original is to make better shit.
Get better at it.
And,
Yep,
and
fully.
instead of just making the same Neve 1073,
Yes.
why can't we make better versions of a Neve 1073
there's
instead of going back to that?
There's arguments that go both ways.
Totally.
For this, like they invented it. It belongs to them.
Yeah. But the idea of the patent is they get long enough to make a lot of profit off it.
Yeah, sure.
And then it goes to
Yes.
everyone after
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
All right. And
Yeah.
and the Neve AMS company has made enough money off Neves.
Oh, yeah.
All
Big
right.
time.
Let's not mince
time.
words on that. And everyone knows that. And
Yeah.
look, it just is what it is.
So you're
I
saying
love the distressors.
Yeah.
And like for what's in them, like this is a hard thing to say because I like that. They're an amazing product.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, they are overpriced for what's in them now
Yeah.
for the market.
Yep.
ICs are not expensive. The circuit topology is not an expensive one to replicate. So it can be done. But, it's just whether the patent's there or not.
Yeah.
And what's
Yeah.
legal.
Yeah.
So look, a distressor is one that would definitely be sought after.
Yeah. Okay. So what about
If it could be done.
what about API? Do you reckon they're going to?
Oh, they're definitely going to do API.
Right.
They're definitely API is next on the chopping block, 100%.
Right, interesting.
I would say that because of they've got now the right input transformers and output transformers, and in this unit, the beginnings of those kind of topologies are there. So they could do it, and an API circuit is one of the easiest to clone.
Yes.
And like whilst everyone should know that I do DIY builds and I work with DIY companies, and I've mentioned this as well in other videos, that it's a tricky subject for me because I don't want those DIY companies that have worked so hard to be impacted by
Yes. Yeah.
that because these are good businesses
Yeah.
doing the right thing by the audio community.
Yes.
So if Cappy were to be affected, they're the ones that would get be very affected by it, as well as API.
Yep.
That's a bit of a shame for them.
Yeah.
But it's going to happen.
Because there's a split that happens in my brain. Like, yes, in one hand, I'm happy that these products are available to the much lower end. Mm-hmm. But then the other part of me is like, maybe you should just save up and
get the real
one.
Yeah, look, it's a horses for courses thing. I think that everyone needs that taste of analog, and if this gets more people to taste what analog is, especially if it's decent, it's a good thing for everyone.
Yep.
Because then you're going to get more people wanting to buy.
Interesting.
Competition's also good. We live in a capitalist society.
Yeah, it'll bring the price of things down, which is cool for us.
And it'll make them work harder to get it to market. Yeah. So for all those companies that have been resting on their laurels.
But that's been a problem for so long, hey, is like
the price of...
Well, no, companies resting on their laurels. Like you said, we got it right 40 years ago. Now let's just chill.
Yeah.
And then you've got a lot of these like small companies coming up, Behringer not being a small company, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, Z&H.
Yeah, coming up and reworking design and doing it better.
Yeah.
And then, but then you get these people that are stuck in their ways like, oh, but it's not as good as the original one. You mean the original noisy piece of shit?
Yeah.
Like that fucking thing that...
It's such a rich tapestry of things and that's why everyone's so psyched about this. Either way, like either they hate it, they love it.
Yeah.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal for the audio industry.
Yeah.
Because this stuff will affect it.
Do you remember what was the first interface you ever bought?
A PreSonus.
A PreSonus?
Yeah.
What? Like which one?
FirePod.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
So they...
Piece of shit. I threw my last one in the bin the other day.
PreSonus? Really?
I had it in my shed, just hiding.
So they were first... When were they first released?
Dude, 2000s.
Yeah, so 2004.
Yep.
The first one I ever had was a Yamaha 01X. And so these were... when were these first come out first?
Atrocious preamps.
Okay, 2004. Also 2004.
Crazy.
Weird. All right.
We're starting the same time.
Yeah, we must have.
Because we ended up with the same Sapphire unit as well, the Focusrite unit.
Yep.
Which is funny.
So, man, I was thinking about this the other day. Someone asked me, how did I start doing it and what was the first things I bought? So I remember I was 16, I was in high school, and my music teacher was like, okay, you need an interface, you need speakers. And he recommended me these and then the Rocket 6s.
Yep.
So I had a pair of Rocket 6s, and I think, let's see if there's a price in 2004 when I bought them.
But like for beginners, nothing much has changed, right? Like we're still in that.
Well, actually, I was going to argue the opposite. So the cost of it was through the roof, and the quality of it.
Fair.
So I think,
and the quality was not good.
So this is in 2004, which let's call that 20 years.
Yep.
I think I got for my birthday. It was the Yamaha, the interface and the speakers.
Yep.
And I think that was we spent $2,500, and that was 20 years ago.
Yep.
So the interface was about $1,200, and it was I think it was an 8-channel interface that you could expand to, which I eventually expanded to 16. But yeah, just I think the whole, including my computer, it was over $3,000.
Yep.
Like 20 years ago.
That's nuts.
When I was 14, that was an insane amount of money.
And people can shit on like the Behringer 73 clone, but I guarantee you that clone is better than the preamps we had back then a million times.
That's kind of where I was going with this, is that like I spent a bullshit amount of money on this at the time, and the quality is laughable now these days. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. It's
so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. To any young aspiring engineer or producer, you are living in the best of times for gear. Like, you can get affordable interfaces with good conversion, good preamps already built in, and then you can get the outboard that none of us could afford. Like,
dude, this looks like something out of a early Star Trek movie or something.
I remember these.
Yeah. This there's lots of nostalgia in it for me. I broke the save button because I was I was on it all day.
Was that a hard disk recorder?
No.
Nah.
It was one of the first control surface interfaces at the same time that released. That's why it was so people were into it. But I think
it would have the preamps from the O2Rs and all that shit.
Yep.
Horrible.
Yeah. Really not a great sounding unit, but I mean,
because all those early digital preamps were just trash. They were so bad.
I remember I went to a university once and I did a recording on the C24.
Yep.
What were they by? C24?
Focusrite? No.
It was a Control 24.
Yeah.
C24 console.
Yeah, is it?
Did you design? Yeah, it's DigiDesign.
It's DigiDesign,
Yeah.
C24.
And I
I
remember,
always forget.
going to the uni like that I was at and looking at things and like, oh, this is cool. And I remember plugging stuff into the back of it and be like, this is gross.
Yeah.
Like really,
Notoriously
really
bad preamps.
Oh, dude. I remember like turning the gain and it was like, not enough gain, not enough gain, not enough gain. Peaking, like
Yep.
everything was just like,
Yep.
it was either everything was so quiet or it was so distorted and so gross. And it
Thin
honestly,
sounding and horrible
really, really thin. Like
and nasty.
I was like, I was really surprised. I was like, am I doing something wrong here? Because like even my immature ears at the time were like, this is embarrassingly terrible. Yeah, I just thought that was interesting. These units used to go for what, like 5 or 10 grand, and now Pro Tools have stopped supporting them, and now
Yeah,
they go
in the
for
bin.
$500.
Yeah.
If you're
People are
lucky.
and they were notorious for breaking down. Those preamps would blow up all the time.
How do you blow up a preamp?
They just would disintegrate. They're just
Yeah,
bad.
okay,
Yeah,
cool.
just bad design. Yeah,
Yeah.
They were notorious. People would always have channels down on those.
Yep. And I remember
and
peop-
every educational facility had one
Yes.
as well. I
Yeah.
studied on one.
Yeah, they used to sell for thousands of dollars, and now you can't give them away.
No.
Because like they're not supported by Pro Tools, so you just can't use them anymore.
Yeah,
So-
and they're
unless
just,
you're on an old version of Pro Tools.
yeah, you would have to
Right.
be using legacy stuff, but then that comes with all the challenges of that, and that's just nonsense. And
Yeah.
you don't need to anymore.
Yeah.
Like if you want the faders, like motorized faders, you can go get a fader port or something. You can get
Yes.
something
Yeah.
way more affordable than that.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So yeah, just to wrap up that one, I think like young people that are coming new into this industry are lucky.
Hell yeah.
You have so many options, so many ways to do things. Things are way more affordable.
Yeah. You can do it on your phone now. Like recording,
Yeah.
recording's never been so accessible and
It's
easy
so
and
crazy.
fun too. Like
Yeah.
and easy to do.
Yeah, it's so cool. And then the used market as well is out there now, and that's starting to be a thing. So
Yeah.
it's cool.
Yeah.
Cool. While we were talking about waves, did you want to bring up that other thing about waves?
Which one? Which one about waves? What were we talking about?
Why people use them still?
Yeah.
Or do you want to save that for the next
so,
one?
No, that's a good one. Because I found myself recently downloading and buying a few Waves plugins, which I never thought I would ever do in my life.
Okay.
Like
How did that come about? Tell me about that.
So it was from watching some videos with other people mix, and it's usually people of a certain age
Yes.
still use Waves. And I think our age is really the cutoff. I think you don't really find people younger than us. Like we're both in our late 30s now, so that sounds so gross to say.
40,
Yeah,
I'm 40.
yeah. That's right. Yeah, we're almost middle aged, which is fucking
Yeah.
wild. But yeah, so I don't really see people, younger than us using Wave stuff because I feel like it's of a generation, of a time that it's on their way out. I think young kids are growing up with Fab Filter,
UAD.
UAD, and
Yep.
things like that. So
Yep.
a lot of this stuff is superseded. Waves are still every now and then they'll do a product that. Like the Shep stuff, like a lot of the Shep stuff is unique in that
There are some timeless bits that they have, and there are producers,
well, I'm not even
bigger
talking about
producers.
timeless. So there are timeless bits like the
Yeah.
L1,
the Arvox and all that
Arvox
people
and-
talk about all the time, and
stuff's
Arbase.
like Arbase is really
Yep.
cool. There's
Yep.
a bunch of stuff that only Waves do that I haven't found that anyone else does.
Replacements for, yeah.
And then there's like the handful of products that they're bringing out that like new stuff, like the Shep stuff, like the channels. Like how they've got there's like 100 of these new ones and the non-linear summing stuff and there's a bunch of stuff that they're doing that's kind of cool. But yeah, it was weird because I was like, I'd never thought I'd buy Waves plugins again, but then I brought them up and some of them really do something special that I can't get out of anything else.
Yep. Which ones?
Oh, fuck.
Through it.
So the Waves. Okay, for example, MaxBass.
Yeah.
Have you used MaxBass?
Yeah, but that's an older one.
It's a heaps old one.
Yeah.
So I'm not really
Yeah.
talking about the new ones right
Yeah,
now,
okay,
but
yeah,
like
yeah, cool.
these older classics.
MaxBass is sick. Yeah, I've got that.
Yeah, there's something like I know there's like bass resonance plugins out there, newer ones, and I'm not sure if it's that this is particularly good or if it's just because I've heard it on so many recordings.
Yeah.
So that's the other
Yes.
thing. That's the
Yep.
other thing is like it goes back to that nostalgia thing, like where I always laugh about like old guys who talk about Neumann and SSL. It's like, oh, you can only record on like Neumann mics or you can only mix on SSL consoles. I'm like, yeah, that's because you grew up in a time when those were the only things available. You know what I mean? Like that when they were coming through and the only brands were Neve, SSL, or Neumann. Like there was obviously other stuff, API and whatever.
Yep.
But you know how now we've got a billion things to choose from.
Yeah.
Like there is so many fucking things. But back then there was only the few heralded brands.
Yep.
And so I don't know if I have that with Waves where I'm like, oh, it sounds cool because it's Waves and, you know, like they're one of the OGs.
Yeah.
Or if it's just because I've heard it on so many recordings.
Yeah, I think it always is part of that, right? Like it is that when we hear a record, if those producers are still the ones mixing it and that's what they use, it's there. And so that's the sound we're chasing.
It surprises me to see people still using like the L1 limiter, for example, which is one of the most popular things.
That's not one of my faves, but it does a thing and it's crunchy. And
it's super popular. Yeah. And then you've got like people, like companies now copying, like, do you know Kernoff plugins? Dan...
Kerhoff?
I can't remember how to pronounce it.
Yeah.
I'm not even trying to spell it because I can't remember how it's spelled. But he's got an emulation of the L1.
Yeah, wow.
Which I think is like crazy, right?
Yeah.
Like there's so many new things since then, but obviously that particular plugin has a nostalgia factor and an importance to people.
Yeah. If it has a sound, I think the thing that we've got to remember, right? Like there's a reason why we buy certain pedals, certain guitar amps, certain bits of analog.
Yep.
Because they're the sounds that people hear on a record.
Yeah.
And so we're chasing those sounds, and the way to get those sounds is use those tools.
Yeah.
It's back to that that philosophy that I've always like spruiked, which is that what's the right tool for the job? And if that tool does that thing that you're chasing, then that's the tool you need.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not about what's the right company or the right brand or... Because there's so much brand loyalty out there. Like, I don't care so much about that stuff. I just care about what's going to do the job.
Yeah.
You know? That kind of tradie mentality, you know?
Yeah. I don't really have much in the way of brand loyalty, but like I do find myself getting stuck in like, oh, I'll just reach for that brand because I know it.
Yep.
It's funny. Do you use many Waves plugins anymore?
I still like their CLA 1176s.
Okay.
Because their Blue Stripe has a very interesting distortion. And it definitely does what the Blue Stripe actually does, which adds a high shelf.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
Right? The real Blue Stripe does this. That's the real difference between the blue and the black.
Yeah.
And they emulated it.
Yeah.
And it's there. And then when you listen to other versions of the blue, it sometimes doesn't have that as aggressive as it actually is on the real thing.
What other versions did you try?
I've tried UAD.
Okay.
It's there on the UAD as well, but not the same.
Yep.
And it's obviously, it's a bit more aggressive on the CLA one.
Yeah.
But sometimes that's what I want.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes I want that distortion to really be there and be exaggerated, and it does that.
Yeah.
So I'll reach for it.
Yeah.
I still use it all the time.
Cool. What else?
R-Bass.
Yep.
I use R-Bass.
Yep. Again, that's one I don't think anyone else has come up with one that does that as well as Waves.
Nah, and some of their compressors, like the RVox and all that and stuff, are pretty good too.
What are they meant to be?
RVox is a compressor.
Yeah, I know that, but is it emulated after something?
I can't remember if there's different modes hidden in it, or whether it's just.
It's not meant to be like is it meant to be like a unit or anything?
I think it does opto and that. I can't remember. I haven't used it in so long.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah,
because the Axe, the guitar compressor, is really good too.
Oh, well,
and I don't know if it's meant to be like something.
A thing.
Yeah.
Can't remember.
Interesting. I'm trying to think what else I use from Waves. I used to really like L2. I haven't used it in a long time.
I haven't used L2 in forever because of Fab Filter.
Yeah, that's true. Yep.
Yeah.
I used to use like the linear EQ.
Yeah, okay.
They have like a
a linear
I used
phase
to use
EQ.
That. Yeah, that was cool. And then Pro Q came along.
Yeah. I used to use that all the time.
I used to use TrueVerb a bit.
Yeah.
They have the Wave stuff has a very, even with just talking about it now, it's like I can hear the sound of it.
Yeah.
They're very like.
To me, it's always crunchy in the mids.
Yes, crunchy. I don't know.
It's something to do with the plug-in
and
design.
they're very like hard sounding, which I associate with like early 2000s stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like hardware and stuff. I think those era of plugins have a sound.
Yeah.
And it's there. And it's like, once again, like it's like if you're chasing that, it's there.
Man, I used to use the Waves L2 so much that I even looked at one point at the hardware unit. Do you know much about those?
Yeah.
What's the go with those things?
So it's just a hardware limiter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like
it was a famous one.
Yeah, but does it use like the same like
I honestly I've looked into it before. I can't remember exactly like what's going on hardware versus software wise in that limiter. Yeah, I won't speak on that.
Digital limiter, yeah?
I think so. I can't remember.
Yeah, I've always been confused about that.
I don't know if that one, the original L2 is hardware or if it's just a digitally controlled thing or whatever. I can't speak for that one.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I want to show you something. I want to show you. So I messaged you a while ago and asked if you had heard of Suno AI. Yeah, and you'd never heard of it. Hey?
I've heard of it since.
Okay.
Because there's the two main ones. There's Sonor. Is it Sonor or Sonar?
I can't remember.
Anyway, whatever. And then there's the other one. Yeah.
Suno. I always get stuff
Suno.
so wrong.
Yeah, Suno.
Yeah.
I've heard of Suno, and then there's another one.
Okay, so at the time when I messaged you, you hadn't heard of it.
No.
Okay, cool. So, and I told you, don't look into it. Don't look anything about it. Because I want to show you in person and get a reaction. Dude, this is crazy. And I don't want to spruik this company because it's an AI company who, like a lot of musicians will get upset about this sort of thing. Oh, it's taking our jobs.
Yeah.
Which I think is ridiculous. Yeah. I mean, like if you're a songwriter who is getting taken down by an AI machine,
you need to get better at songwriting.
100%.
Yep.
Anyway, so a friend of mine, Dane Tuddy, who this is, he's tattooist, and a musician as well. He showed me this. I was freaked out by this. I don't know. Have you ever seen this stuff before? You have? Man, okay. So the way it works, you open the app and then you can input the style, like the style of music you want, and then you can put the lyrics in.
Yep.
So we're both rock guys, so let's just go like pop rock. Something that's a little bit digestible as the style. So super simple. And then in the lyrics, you can type whatever you want. The thing that blew my mind is that you can type, because when I first used it, I'm like, everything has to rhyme, everything has to be structured like a song.
Okay.
Wrong. You can put in, I'm going to use a transcript of our first YouTube episode, which I downloaded. So yeah, all it is, I just went to like a free YouTube thing and downloaded the transcript from like the first episode we put out. So I'm going to copy this and just chuck it into the AI thing. Copy. Great. And then let's go back to the AI. All right, cool. So lyrics and then Thomas Mitchell.
Hey, you should have got him on. Why did you reject that call?
Wait, is he still here? Yeah.
Get him.
Hey, bro, how are you?
Yeah, good. Happy birthday, dude.
Oh, thanks, man. Wait, you are live on our podcast. Mitch is right here.
We got you.
Yeah.
We got your third episode.
Yeah. This is Tom, and we asked him to be on the podcast, and he said no because he doesn't like cameras, and that's fair enough.
That's fair.
Bro, thank you so much.
Just giving me the anxiety.
Yeah. Dude,
how sweaty is he?
Thanks so much for the call. I'll call you back a bit later.
No worries, dude.
All
Have
right.
a good one.
Thanks, bro. See ya.
Bye-bye.
How good.
Got him.
Yeah, how good. All right, cool. Back to this. All right, so let's paste in. This is just like it looks like the first 5 minutes of the thing. Anyway.
Yep.
Not important. So then let's call this, we'll call it the AudioBoi's song.
Crazy.
AudioBoi song. So the impressive part now is how long this bit takes. So let's hit create. And like this is a process that I would expect the phone or the AI to take several minutes to do. I think it often is finished in under a minute. So what do you think that's been? Maybe it's done. So 20, 30 seconds?
Yeah, if that.
Would you say so?
Yeah.
So 20, 30 seconds. And I haven't heard this. I don't know what it's going to be like. Let's find out.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, that's not it. Hello, my name is Mitta, and this is Mitch. Hey, and this is the AudioBois Podcast. This is episode 1. Yeah. Episode 1 hectic, so wild. Well, so our aim here, we're just gonna talk audio, AI, things we like, nerd stuff, yeah,
crazy.
Stuff, gear stuff, yep, anything, recording studio based, yeah.
Sounds like an ad-lib.
Yeah, it's like a Taylor Swift type.
Yeah.
Type.
Do you want to tell me?
Holy shit.
Dude, this is not the best song, but that's so impressive.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
I
That's
was
so good.
blown away by the fact that the lyrics don't need to rhyme. They don't need to even be the same, like the right amount.
Yeah.
It'll find a way to work them into a song that kind of is listenable.
It's crazy. So like I'm not a massive like I've done a bit of diving into AI and how it works, like the LLM large language model stuff and that. And like fuck, like I'm a complete noob and novice when it comes to that stuff. Let's
Yeah.
just make that clear.
Yeah.
But the one thing they do excel at
Yeah.
is language,
Yeah.
right? Because that's what they're trained on first
Yeah.
and foremost. And then the rest of the language stuff is to do with coding and all that kind of stuff. So they're awesome for working with text and text-based things, which shouldn't be too much of a surprise. But then the crazy way it can put together that song and pull it in, and then when it did the ad lib and stuff like that, like it's being trained on obviously pop music that
Yeah.
we all know.
Yeah.
It's fucking wild. That's cool. It's
Man,
really cool.
I was like, as someone who has no background in AI whatsoever, for that to do it that well, like,
and that quick.
and it's better than so many songs I've heard before. Like it'll write a better song than I can. Absolutely.
Yeah. That's wild.
Man, I was so surprised. I'll show it to you in more depth, like off camera later, because it's crazy. Like I don't know if I haven't used it for any stuff yet, but I don't know if I won't.
See, this is the thing, right?
Yeah.
So we all have access to these crazy amount of AI tools, right? We're doing AI, right?
Yeah,
We're going to talk about AI now. So for me personally, the one reason I haven't dived into any like crazy amount of AI stuff is time to learn it, right?
Yes.
Because like we have
It's
enough.
its own skill.
Yeah, it's another tool you have to learn to use.
Yeah.
So I haven't found it immediately accessible because I'm going to have time, like days, to spend on this, and I haven't had that time yet.
Yep.
I would love to.
Yep.
I would love to dive into so much stuff to do with that, to do with business management stuff as well.
Yep.
So for me, like I'm like, oh, it's cool. But then what is the use application? Like, what do you think the use application is for that?
Well, so to me, that was my initial thought.
Yeah.
But my friend Dane, he actually uses this to help him sometimes. Like if
Songwriting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Songwriting. So if he's got a bunch of ideas that he's got a series of lyrics that he doesn't know how to work into a song, or vice versa. He's got a song that he doesn't know how to put lyrics into.
Yep.
So like he'll, for example, put a bunch of lyrics in there and then just see what it does with it.
That's cool.
And it might give him a new idea. It might go like,
Yep.
okay, you know, have you thought about maybe presenting the chorus like this? Or here's a melody for the verse that you haven't thought of. You know, like
That's awesome. That's such a good tool.
yeah,
for that.
I mean, and a lot of people will call this cheating or whatever. I don't care. That's not part of the
people used to call
conversation.
digital recording cheating.
Yeah, that's not the
You know?
conversation I'm having right
Yeah.
now. I just, as a tool, it's
Yeah.
incredible.
That is cool. I do like that.
Man,
for that
I put one in like
application.
as a joke song the other day, just like talking to a friend, like messaging someone, but I just like instead of texting them, I like
You sent him that like a song.
I made a thing, and I was like, "This is a good song, man." Like, I was like, "Oh yeah," I was like shocked at its ability to create something that appeals to me as a human.
Yeah.
like
Yep.
it is. Yeah,
Yep.
so impressive, and it's. I don't see how it's not going to change things.
Yeah, of course. Like, and I'm dubious on how far AI tech will go from here.
Yep.
I think it's overstated the ability of AI. Like, I think we're probably at peak
Yeah,
for
okay.
what they're really going to get to
Right.
with the way things work right now.
Yeah.
But what needs to happen is just we learn the tools.
Yeah.
And then they'll develop from there.
Well, I
you know?
I had a session with a rapper recently who they had written most of their song, but it wasn't finished and it wasn't detailed enough. So we input their lyrics into ChatGPT, and then I embellished on it a little bit, and I said finish it, and it wrote us a absolutely good rap. You know,
That's crazy.
Like
Sick.
that fit within the parameters of the creative boundaries that the artist had set
Yep.
with their lyrics in the start.
Yep.
Yeah, like,
Awesome.
Saved me so much time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like I think for those kind of tools, and especially like, let's be real, right? We've talked about this already. I think maybe we talked about this in the second episode. But budgets, right? Budgets and time are our biggest constraint in producing music in a studio. Do you think this kind of stuff will make workflows quicker for
Yeah.
everyone?
I do.
Yeah. And I think that's cool.
Man, it's so funny that you say like, oh, I don't see us using it. And like probably you and I probably won't use it that much. But the next generation of young people who
They'll
are
be
coming
so
up,
much clever through it. More clever through it,
they
yeah.
will have developed, like you've seen how young kids are studying with ChatGPT now. Like
Yep.
here's my note, here's put it in, give me the study notes, show me what I should be reading, you
Yep.
know, cut the fat from this for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, people will absolutely use it.
Yeah. And that's cool because it'll mean something different. Like, people freak out. They always think, oh, this thing's cheating or this thing's like, you know, the wrong way or whatever. It's here.
Yeah.
It's here and it's going to have an impact.
Yep.
What that impact is we'll see, you know, and it'll be something cool because
Yep.
it's just a tool. Like, it's not it's not the future of music.
Yeah.
AI music is not the future of music.
Yeah.
But it'll be a tool that we use.
I'm sure people had
sure.
the same thing when MIDI came in.
Yeah.
You know, when drum triggers came out,
Absolutely.
when guitar, like I got
Yeah,
sent
amp
some-
sims and shit. Yeah.
Dude, I got sent MIDI guitars the other day, and I asked the dude, "What guitar do you use?" And he's like, "This is MIDI." I'm like, "Wow,
Yeah.
wow!" Like
Yep.
Have
Yep.
you heard MIDI guitars
Yeah.
actually sound like legitimately real and sick?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
It
There's some
blows
dudes doing
my
it.
mind.
Do you follow Dr. Mike?
Yeah, I knew that.
I met
guy.
him over in NAMM.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah.
He's is he Russian?
Yeah, but he's based in Melbourne.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So he does like metal and game, like a lot of game focused
Yeah.
composition stuff and
Yeah,
metal
yeah.
production stuff. And he does a lot of MIDI stuff. And
Yeah.
it's crazy. Like
Yeah.
it sounds sick.
I think I saw he put out a video on Facebook the other day about like all MIDI everything, like using MIDI instruments for everything. Yeah, it's wild. Hey?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Let's look at some of these things because you've written some cool stuff in here. I see one I want to talk about. Do you?
What?
Uh,
We've probably got time. What do you reckon for one more? And
I
then
don't know.
comments?
How are we for time? What, how,
Does it say what time we're at?
how long?
I didn't even take it.
No,
Think on it. I reckon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's do one more of these and then a comment.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sick.
All right. So I'm picking one.
Yeah.
All right. So this is one I've wanted to ask you for a while. What's on your mix bus?
Mixbus.
Yeah. What's on it? What's on yours?
Okay, cool. Just the main Mixbus.
Well, how do you
Yeah.
do it and what's on it?
Oh. Okay.
Well, you can break it down if you have a few stages. Maybe break it
All
down
right.
into the stages.
Yep. So the first thing that hits my mix bus, so I've got my instrument bus and then my vocal bus going to the mix bus.
Yep.
So I have
instrument bus and vocal bus. So explain to some people what that means.
So I have all of my instruments have their own dedicated bus. Drums have a drum bus, bass has a bass bus,
Yep.
guitars have a guitar bus, etc.
Is your bass in mono or stereo?
It's in mono.
Okay, cool. Keep going. Keep going. Yeah.
And then I used to do it in stereo, now I do it in mono.
Okay, cool.
There's reasons.
Yeah, right.
Hardware.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
And then I go that all those instruments go to an instrument bus that then can be adjusted. And the reason for that is if you need instrumentals, acapellas, sometimes it's just easy to solo from there, whatever.
Yep.
It's just a workflow thing for the most part.
Yep.
They go to their own buses and then out. And then on the mix bus, the first thing it hits is my like SSL bus, my SSL hardware. So it goes to the VP28s, the Cappy VP28s.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Into my SSL bus compressor.
Yes. And you've got the real one.
I've got the Minx Rack one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the fanciest pieces you have. Hey.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hell
it's one of the legit ones that I have.
Everything. You got like a lot of stuff that you've built, and then a lot of DIY companies.
Yep.
And there's only a few
Yeah.
brand name things in there,
and that's one of them. And that is like clinched, that one. That is so good.
I remember when you got it, I was
I lent it to Mitta and he went and got another
Yeah,
SSL.
I bought one the next day. Yeah,
Yep.
like not the SSL, but I went out and bought an
SSL
SSL.
Yeah,
like, yeah,
They're clean. You have to have one somewhere. In
yeah.
your
Because
mix.
I had one for a while. They're not all built the same.
No.
Because I thought they were all built the same.
Yeah.
And I went out and bought one like years ago, and I was like, oh, this is fine. Like
Yeah, like the SSL 500 series, the actual brand of the SSL 500 series. Me, you, and Tom it's a piece of
Yuck.
shit. It's the grossest compressor I've ever heard.
so yuck.
Thin,
And-
papery.
And man, it's so wild.
I don't know
'cause-
what they did.
And people don't like a lot of people. I've had many fights with people on the internet about like the 500 series version
Yep.
versus the Minx Rack, but like the
Yeah, they're different.
They're so different.
So different.
And like people don't know that.
There's a low
And-
end that doesn't exist
But
on
also,
the 500
why would
series
people
one.
know that?
Yeah, unless
and,
they've tried 'em.
And that's another fucked
Yep.
thing is like that's Tom. We're lucky to know Tom because he works through the uni and has pretty much access to everything.
Yep.
And so we can go in.
And
there
even when I worked at TAFE
and
as
yeah,
well.
when you're at TAFE,
we could trial out
we can
heaps
go
of
in
shit.
there and listen to 5 different versions of the same thing, which you would never be able to do in a normal situation
Yeah.
unless you're a store. And we found that the 500 series SSL is not even night and day compared to the real
The
thing.
plugin's better.
The plugin sounds better than the actual 500 series.
Yeah, there's something wrong with that.
Don't waste your money on that thing because it's a utter waste of time. There's a couple special things an SSL should do. It does none of them.
Yeah.
So keep going. So
Yeah. So-
your VPs into your SSL.
So VP28s into
Yeah.
the SSL. And the reason for that is that on the original SSL, there's a transformer stage
Yep.
at the master fader going into that bus compressor.
that's why you do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's transformers and op amps
Yeah.
that go from the master fader of an SSL console into then
console, yes.
into then the bus compressor.
Yeah.
So you're trying to get a bit of that summing and that through those two channels of VP28.
Yes.
It's a Nashville trick.
So this is something you explained to me years ago that I've picked up and not stopped doing since.
Yeah.
So it's the...
And if you see Mitta's mix bus, his VP28s are pinned.
Oh,
He's
it's
crazy.
Absolutely pinned. Like they are as hard as they will go.
Yeah, I don't go that hard, but I still push them.
Yeah, so... so I stole this trick from you because you showed it to me, and it does something like we said before. It shifts stuff from the low end to the mids.
Yeah.
It tightens things up.
Yep. Saturates.
Everything gets slightly more exciting. I think is probably the best word to use.
Absolutely.
Keep going.
Yeah, and then they go to my V250 EQs from Z&H.
V250.
They're the Sontec 500 series clones.
Yes.
So that's doing like a Pultec Sontec
Yep.
kind of move where I'm boosting some
Now, everyone knows
highs.
what a Sontec is. Sorry, a Pultec is. What's a Sontec?
The Sontec is a mastering EQ,
Yep.
a 5-band mastering EQ. This is the 500 series version from Z&H is a 4-band version.
Yep.
We've talked about it before in the first episode.
Yeah.
I think.
I can't find it.
That's all right.
Hang on.
Z&H
Z&H Designs.
V250.
Yeah. Oh, I've put in VT 250. There he is. All right,
Yeah.
cool. So,
Yeah.
so that goes into here.
Yep.
And this does your kind of mix shaping.
Yes.
Right?
Yep. And mostly just that extra brightening up that hardware can do better than a plugin sometimes.
So we're still talking about mix bus, which is
bus.
post instrument and vocal bus. Yes.
So VP28, SSL bus to these.
Yes.
Yep.
Why have you done compression then EQ?
Because then I'm going to go to a limiter stage after that as well.
Right.
And if I push the EQ into the SSL, I don't get the same lift on like the vocals and things that I need.
All right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah. And so then I'll go from there into either
usually
a clipper. And that
Yep.
I'm using Gold Clip right
Okay.
now.
Yep.
And then into the Fab Filter Pro L2.
Gold clip. Do we have some of those to? No.
Not yet. No.
Not yet. Okay.
No.
Cool. And so you go from gold clip into
Into the Pro L2.
Pro L2, right?
Yep, live it
and
up.
then the Pro L2 is just doing just a little bit of
Yeah, that push to get you, up to mastering level
So-
LUF. So keep in mind, guys, like I'm doing a lot of mixing and mastering.
Yes.
So this will be my mix master.
Yes,
So, but I can turn that off if I need to send it to someone.
So
but
Is that your
I'll just-
mastering chain?
that is that's
Right.
my mix and master. So
Okay.
I would consider up to the V250s my mix chain.
Yes.
But then this is the thing, right? So there's been a lot of talk. I'll preface it with this. When I went to LA, all right, I heard some of the best mixes I've ever heard from some of the best engineers, Grammy Award-winning engineers,
Yep.
and they were mixed with limiting on.
Yes.
They were hitting 7 to 6 to maybe 5 LUFS,
Yep.
definitely.
Yep.
Whatever the mastering engineers are doing there is maybe some slight, very small things and then a transfer.
That seems to be the way people are working these days.
It is. It is. And this is like, if we want to talk the future of what we do, the future is that most mix engineers are going to master themselves.
I feel like
it's going that way.
I feel like we're heading in that direction. I don't like it, but
Look, I would rather have the budget to send it on because there's a benefit to sending to a mastering engineer.
Yep.
When I talk to most bands, they don't want it.
Yeah, I think that has a lot to do with they don't understand what it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they don't want to pay too much extra.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, well, they think that so they paid for the recording, they paid for the mixing, and then they're like, what is this extra cost mastering? Like,
Yes.
Which some people think that they don't have to do. And you could, you always have to master. You absolutely always have to master. You don't always necessarily have to go to a mastering studio. And I think like that some bands don't see the importance in the distinction between those two things.
And we can clarify that now. The reason why you want a mastering engineer, a second person to check it is because it's a fresh pair of ears.
100%. Yep.
Because you've mixed this song and probably edited it and whatever, your ears have been on it too long and you need a fresh perspective to listen over it and go, maybe you need to do this.
100%.
And like we use each other for that too.
And I agree with that, like 1000%. And there's a few things that you need to understand about mastering to understand why that is. So like mastering is like Mitch said, it's having a new pair of ears, look over things. It's having someone else with an objective perspective, check what you've done, check for mistakes, and make it, try and get it to a point where it's as polished as it can be.
Absolutely.
So a mastering engineer, their job is totally different to ours. The way they listen to things are totally different to ours.
Their facilities
are
different.
We should get Josh on here to talk about this because I only know a certain amount because mastering to me is still a dark art.
Okay.
And I still think like there's a bunch of things that they look for and think about that I never think about.
Yeah.
Which is why. Yeah, I think this is a whole conversation unto itself.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say the wrong things because it's a dangerous topic because people there's enough mystery around it as it is.
Yeah. Look, me and Josh studied under the same teacher and stuff. Where we were fortunate enough to study under Paul from Viking Lounge.
Yep.
And look, it's one of those things that I think a mastering engineer has their benefit in that they are focusing on one job and getting very good at that one job.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
and a mastering engineer should always be able to outmaster a mix engineer.
Yep.
Because that's their job.
Yeah.
And they're doing it every day and they're better at it. And that fresh perspective adds an understanding of what's going on better as well. And it's necessary.
You know, what's funny is because it's like it's arguable. Well, it's not time. Like work per minute, it's not cheaper than mixing, but for example, it's the cheapest part of the recording process, right? That you spend all this money on tracking, then mixing, then you do the mastering, and it's the cheapest part. But the things they need to do their job,
that extra 5%
makes it 10 times more expensive to set up a mastering studio than it does a recording studio.
Oh my god, yes.
And that's funny to me is that I can charge however hundreds of dollars to mix your song, and then mastering engineer might charge you 10% of that.
Yep.
On average, it's 10% of the cost of the mixing.
Yep.
But their costs are 10 times ours.
Yeah. So what Mitta's saying is like they have to have better monitoring. Their room needs to be perfect.
Yes.
Like it's way more expensive.
AD conversion needs to be the best. Yeah, they'll spend more on their speakers than some mix engineers spend on their entire studio.
Yeah.
At Viking Lounge, they've got their main monitors are worth about 100K.
Yep.
The backup monitors are worth about 50K.
Yep.
And I wouldn't be surprised if they have a third set now that are, I'm guessing, probably 10 to 20K.
Yeah.
So and that's without talking about AD conversion. That's without talking about monitor controlling.
Yep.
Like the speaker setup, is $200,000 off the bat.
Yeah, the best of the best.
Yeah.
Like because it's that final 5 to 10% that you need on a track.
And I always equate mastering to for example, you've just written a book, like a novel, and then you need to proofread it.
Yeah.
If you proofread it yourself, you're probably going to miss things.
You're going to miss heaps of shit.
You're going to miss stuff because you always write that word that way. You always misspell that word that way. So you're just going to read it and go, yep, that's how you spell that, and you're going to keep moving.
Yep.
So you're going to miss all this stuff. So that's why I always encourage people to use a mastering engineer because they are like a heavily trained set of ears that can come in at the end and see things that we can't see because we're too invested. We're too too far into it.
Yeah, and it's their job to stay on top of other things that are important, like the way Spotify manipulates the audio once it adds, its luff penalties and stuff like that. Like it took me ages to figure that out.
And see, that's something I don't want to bother my brain. I don't want to busy myself with.
That's so fair.
Like,
so I bothered my brain with it for a while, and I don't
know enough about things I need to know a lot about, let alone knowing about RMS and LUFs and all that
so
stuff.
mix engineers, like listening to Mitta, like you've got enough to focus on as a mix engineer, especially if you're an aspiring mix engineer, like an up and coming. Focus on mixing, don't try and master.
Yeah, and one thing I've noticed is that like the trend these days is for the mix engineer and the mastering engineer to be the same person. Whether that is something that's been forced on people as a result of budgets or whether they've chosen to work that way because we can these days, because we've got all these digital tools where, how in the past the only way to master stuff was through analog. And that's why you see these big studios in Sydney not necessarily becoming less popular, but being less relevant. Because people can use plugins and do the stuff at home. I mean, the world, like technology is changing people's processes for the better or worse, but like what your process, how you mix and master, I even do a little bit of that. So like I will mix into a mastering chain, which I then take off and then send to Josh to master. But so that's your mastering. Your
and I might have
chain.
an EQ somewhere in there as well, like a Fab Filter EQ if I need it.
This is embarrassing because my mix chain is so much busier than yours. So my process is similar to Mitch's in that I have instrument and a vocal bus. I've since kind of made it more complicated in that I've put
rebus?
Yeah. So I've put extra buses in those processors. So, and sometimes I'll have like, say if my bass is in mono, which is the way I usually work, then it might go to a stereo bass bus so that it becomes stereo. So I can use mono plugins on the front end and then stereo stuff on the back end of the bass to make it, you know what I mean?
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's
so,
cool.
because
I like
sometimes
that.
you want stereo bass.
Yeah. Or
So-
just width or
Yeah,
whatever,
exactly.
yeah.
So my chain's similar to yours. I have my drum bus, bass, guitar, keys. Oh, actually, no, keys and the top bus. But the back bus is always drums, bass, and guitar.
Yep.
They go into an instrument bus, and then vocals goes into a vocal bus, and then effects, keys, anything else goes into its own bus on top of that.
Okay.
Yeah, so those three then feed into a like a summed mix bus, and then that goes to my stereo out.
Yeah.
But before that, I put a lot of stuff on my instrument bus. Do you?
Not so much. I put a clipper.
Okay, cool. Because
and sometimes some compression.
It sounds like we actually do our compression in a different way because I put heaps of my compression on the instrument bus because I want the instruments to be absolutely fucking destroyed. You know, I want everything to be so slammed and so glued together. And then if I put my vocals into it, and as soon as a vocal pops up and the compressors react to that, it's just gonna wreck everything.
Yeah, I fully get that.
So in many ways, I've almost got two sets of the same thing.
Yep.
So like in an ideal world, I'd have two SSL compressors.
Yes.
I'd have one on the instrument bus
and one on the mix bus.
Exactly.
Yep.
So my instrument bus, that's where I put the Cappy VP28s, the same as you, into my SSL, same as you. Then it usually goes. What do I do after that? If I feel like I need EQ, I might put like either a plugin or I'll use like a hardware EQ. That's not really that important. Usually then it's saturation.
Yeah.
So I used to use like FabFilter Saturn for that. Now I use either the Culture Vulture that I've got, like the Thermionic.
So I should mention as well that the Gold Clip has a saturator in there that I like. I was using a different one. I was using this other plugin for a while, and then I found that was missing. Remember you used to say, "Oh, there's something going on in your low mids."
Yes,
it was that plugin.
What was it?
It was that one. Fuck.
Okay, so to clarify this, Mitch,
it was a clipper that I was using. But it had a clipper and a saturator.
Oh, and
we showed it on,
and it was dirtying up the low mids.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
We talked about it once.
Yeah, Mitch and I send each other mixtures just to like, hey, check this out. Can you tell me what I've done wrong or whatever? Like, have I missed anything here?
Yeah, tell me how shit I am.
Yeah, it's like one of those.
Totally.
But yeah, so you sent me one time, and I noticed that it had like quite a large amount of low mids.
Yeah,
which is something that I dealt with going through different stages of monitoring.
Yeah,
is that
it was partly that too.
Yeah, because there's certain monitoring setups you don't hear that sort of thing. And I think it's also like your ear refines over time, and it's you get used to not only hearing it but predicting where it's going to happen.
Yep.
But yeah, anyway, you sent me a mix, and I thought everything was really cool, except maybe there was a little bit too much low mids. And when I say low mids, I'm talking 200-300 hertz, maybe something in there. And and you're saying there was a particular clipper that was
it was a
creating
clipper
build-up.
saturator plugin that was building that up.
Yeah,
and making it
interesting.
worse. But it's probably partly because it was already there.
Yep.
So it's partly that it was already there. But then I tried it on a newer mix.
Yeah.
And it still did that.
And you know what's funny is about low mids in general is that they're a really hard one to get right.
Yeah.
Because the low mids is where the realism lives.
Yep.
It's where something is like it feels realistic. And it can also be where things are clouded, muddy.
Yep.
You know, those words.
If there's not enough low mids, it's too thin.
Yes, and it sounds lifeless.
Yep.
And then with too much of it, it sounds chubby and bloated and not nice.
Yep.
So that's a fine line. Interesting. So anyway, so I come out of the saturator, and then I usually go to a tape, some form of tape thing.
Yep.
In the past I've used soft tube tape, which is really cool. I've now I use the Animod box, the one that we were talking about before.
Yep.
That thing's super beautiful. I've used slate tape in the past, which is cool. What tape plugin do you use?
We can maybe talk about that in the next video.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
cool.
I've got an exciting one for you.
All right,
yeah,
cool.
Yeah. Stay tuned for that one.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah.
So tape plugin, and then I might, depending if I need it, there might be another EQ. usually there's no more compression or limiting.
Yep.
And then when I get to my mix bus stage, which the instrument and the vocals and the effects have been sent to, it's almost always, lately I've been using Golfos Master.
Yep.
Golfos, if you don't know what it is this weird plugin. I don't really know what it is. It's like an active...
Yeah, I'm always so like...
Everyone's super sus on this one.
Yeah. So it was these guys, Sound Theory.
Yep.
It was the other plugin they do. Crafter was the one that I was
Oh,
using.
I've never heard of that one.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's cool. It's a
Okay.
saturator and clipper. And I was having issues with it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so this Golfos thing, from what I understand, it analyzes your mix or the sound sources, and then you can either make up for what you've lost or tame areas where there's too much of things. Who determines what is too much? Or that's a really weird thing. It seems to get it right, which is so strange.
what matters.
Like
Yeah.
I don't understand, because I'm just like, it's got this, okay, there's these two main things here that says recover and tame. And then, so recover is what it sounds like, bring back stuff that you've lost, and tame is, areas where there's too much. And I'm like, how's it going to know? And who determines what's too much? Or, and like, and in what context? Like, are you mixing a EDM track where it needs to be hell loads of bottom end? Or is this like a metal stuff where there needs to be a lot of clarity in the top end? For some sort of reason, it just, the recover, I'm like, yeah, it's better. And then and the same with the tame. Having said that, I don't go over, say, like 30 to 50% with it. Ever.
Okay,
It can go to like, I think it can go to 200, something crazy. But I don't ever go at that. And doing like those micro adjustments, it seems to do
that little bit extra.
It does something that I can't achieve with anything else.
Yeah.
Which
cool.
and I can't explain what it is, and I almost feels like cheating because I'm like, I don't know what this is.
Yeah.
And I put it on and it's better. I'm just like,
whatever.
Yeah,
Yep.
I like
does the thing.
Anyway.
Yeah, that's
so
cool.
I go from there into my Marg EQ4s.
Okay, yep.
Which are they're like a mastering. I think people consider them mastering EQs.
Yeah. They're definitely on Master Bus duties, doing that same thing, the airband, pool techie.
Yeah, they have like
whatever.
they've been designed in a way that the frequency bands are at a really cool and logical spot.
Yeah, musical spots.
For mixbus. In that it's like, so it's got a sub control, which is what it sounds like, 40 hertz, which is where a lot of that like punch and...
I've got an interview with the designer of the Marg.
Do you?
Coming out, from NAM.
On your channel?
Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I'm going to watch that.
He is just the nicest dude.
Does he have an accent?
Cliff Marg.
Does he?
He's American.
Is he?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Oh,
He's American.
I just assumed he was like Swedish or something like that.
So there's heritage there, European heritage,
right,
but they're American as.
Okay, all right,
Yeah, I've got
cool.
some stories to tell you about that
Heaps
after.
cool.
Yeah.
Heaps cool. All right. Yeah.
I met the whole family.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they were there. And it
Right,
was sick.
Right.
Yeah.
So the plug-in version that, like, there's a couple of different plugins you can get, and that you can try it, but the EQ points are just like really cool and logical for mixbus.
He made
studios.
something that no one else was making, and then they actually stopped making them for a while.
Did they?
And then because of demand came back.
Right.
Yep.
So there are a few companies cloning them now. Do you know about, I think it's
Plugins?
No. HK Audio.
What?
I think it's HK Audio EQ. So
It isn't the most complex circuit to copy. It's a passive style EQ. I know what it is.
Is it HK? Yeah, I think it is HK. Is this company Australian? There's an Australian company.
TK Audio or HK?
Oh, hang on. It might be TK Audio.
Yeah,
Okay, so
HK is Bart Hark.
Right.
Bart, I think that's Herc or Hark. I can't remember his name. Sorry,
Right.
Bart.
So no, it's not this one.
No. Okay.
What's the Marg? I'm gonna Google it. Marg hardware clone. There's a company. I'm pretty sure they're from Melbourne, and they're doing high voltage audio.
High voltage.
HVA.
They do SSL clones and stuff. I've
Yes,
seen. I've
yeah.
seen people selling them lately.
Lachlan just bought one. So
Oh, yeah.
he bought the SSL clone. So EQ.
I didn't realize they were Australian.
I'm pretty sure.
Hectic.
Oh, sorry. Maybe they're not. Oh, I'm confused now.
Fake news.
Anyway, fake news. So this one here is it's $1,400 AUD. I paid more than that.
Is this stereo?
Stereo.
That's fucking good,
That's
man.
really.
Yeah,
Dude,
for
I
what it
paid
is.
more than that for a single unit.
Yeah.
I think the Marg cost me about $1,500
Plus
each.
their 500 series, so you need a rack.
No power supply.
Yeah.
So this is
Hey.
same EQ points. Joe's got one, so I need to talk to him about
Joe Anderson?
Anderson's,
Yeah.
he likes it. I'm
Can you go to the topology?
yes.
Sides. Here we go.
All right.
All right. So what I can tell you straight up is the capacitors are different. They're not
Okay.
Weimers,
Right.
but they'll be the ones.
And what are the capacitors responsible for in this?
The frequencies.
Right.
Yeah. So a capacitor is what you use in conjunction with a resistor to
Yep.
select the frequency that is going to be boosted or cut.
Yep.
And then you use in this case, like with all solid state EQs, there will be an IC chip that does the gain boost or cut.
Yep.
All right. So it's real simple. It's very similar in a way to the Sontec EQ design.
Yeah.
All right. So just to demystify this, you got a bunch of famous passive EQs, the Sontec, the Massenburg, and then these ones.
Massive passive?
The Massive Passive
Yeah?
as well. Yeah,
Okay.
same deal.
Right.
Except the Massive Passive has a tube stage in it.
Yes.
Yeah. But it's only for the in and output stage, I think, on that.
Okay.
Or
Yep.
maybe just the input. I can't remember the Massive Passive. But it's the passive EQ section is
Yeah.
the same kind of idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well-
and so people have basically, like, we were talking earlier in this episode about cloning, right? Well, all of those EQs are based off the same idea, a passive style EQ. And
Yep.
the reason being that because it's passive, it's cleaner and more transparent.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
And that's how you get it.
so I think this is the first time I've seen a hardware clone of the Marg.
I might have to reach out to these
Yeah.
guys and have a chat.
Do it.
It's cool.
I'm interested. So
Yeah.
and then I go from the Marg, and then there might be another saturation thing in there.
Yeah.
Another one.
Another one.
Yeah. And then I'll
Another
use
one.
something. Then I'll use something for stereo widening.
Yep.
It's
Cool.
usually just like an SPL, like an
Yep.
SPL plugin or something like that. And because I don't master, that's usually where it stops. If I was mastering it, there might be a clipper or two and then a limiter
Yeah.
on the end of it.
Yeah.
And I usually just mix into the clipper or the limiter just for the feeling. Just to feel
That
the-
energy, yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
dynamics of how it's going to feel. And,
Yep.
Yeah.
And you have to do that. And just like to wrap this like idea up, you do have to do that.
Yeah.
Now. You
Yeah.
have to. If you're not, you have to mix into a limiter at some point in your mix stage. So before I was saying, I just want to clarify because I said don't master your tracks, guys.
Yeah.
Like if you're beginning to mix,
Yeah.
you shouldn't be in the mindset of mastering.
No.
But part of your mixing should be at some stage mixing into a limiter because that's
Yeah.
what mixers sound like.
Yeah, you should at least
you need to learn
hear
what that is.
what's gonna happen to your mix.
Yeah.
'Cause I would
Otherwise, your mix could fall apart
Man,
once it sends to mastering.
When I first started this, it kind of surprised me heaps of times when I'd send stuff off to someone. I'd be like, "What is this?" Like, I'd get a master back, and I'm like, oh, "There's so many problems with this mix
Mm-hmm.
that I didn't hear." So just fixing that with by trying the mastering, like doing a little mastering thing on the end of your mix is
You have to
important.
do it.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think we should probably
Wrap
stop
this
there.
up.
Hey? Yeah.
This
cool.
was a big episode.
Yeah, was it?
Yeah.
I have no concept of time when I talk to you, man. It's like, I was even saying to
Yeah.
Stevie, she's like, how are you gonna go today? I'm like, dude, me and Mitch could just sit here and talk for
forever.
hours.
Yeah.
I have no concept of like how long we've been talking for or
Yeah, this was a longer one, I think.
Okay, cool.
That's cool.
Very excellent.
All right, we didn't get to any comments. We'll do that in the next
All right,
one. We'll
cool,
do some
yeah.
more.
Yep.
And I've got a sick plug-in to talk about in the next one.
All right, next one.
And it'll actually talk about tape saturation and widening.
Widening? Okay, cool.
It does all of
I
it.
want to hear your thoughts on widening.
Yeah, it's an exciting one.
Nice.
Cool.
Thanks, bro.
Dude,
Thanks.
cool. Coffee time?
Yeah.